coming to you from the all-new Live House in Hollywood, California.
Hi, welcome to this week's episode of Pensado's Place. You're going to meet a superstar producer, but first, this is your last chance to enter the Sweetwater Go to GearFest giveaway. Click right here to enter for your chance to win an all-expense-paid trip for you and one of your companions, and you're going to come to the amazing Sweetwater campus in Fort Wayne, Indiana. This place is, it's got restaurants and live facilities and studios. It's even got its own medical facility. It's completely amazing. All brands and sponsors and producers and workshops. It's June 21st and June 22nd. Sweetwater will cover airfare, 3 days in a hotel, and a gift card for $200 so you can grub and hang out. And then you'll attend our live event and get a chance to hang with Dave and I. While you're signing up for the Go to GearFest giveaway, also sign up for our newsletter so we can keep you informed. Please like, subscribe, and click notify, and you can catch new episodes and ITLs every week, and we thank you for that. DP, what is the ITL?
As we all know, transients are a very important part of what we do, and I'm going to show you some techniques on how to deal with them. When I first started engineering, I was always puzzled by this word called transients. Like, it seems like transients were a good thing, you know? Like, I always wanted my music and my performances to be dynamic and full of, like, power and punch. And as I progressed and got a little better at engineering, a little better, I was still confused. But recently, I guess recently maybe being the last 10 years, I'm really starting to understand how to manipulate transients for a lot of things. It can give you a perception of front to rear depth, because if a sound appears farther away from you, then the transients get absorbed before they get to you for various reasons. And so that's one of the ways that the human brain can tell if something's farther away from you. I was working on this really, really, really fun song by an artist named Olivier. The song is called Stunner. Keep an ear out for it because it should be out on the radio soon. Here's a guitar part from that song. This is without any processing. Those little snaps, you can see them here. Imagine they just take the mix over, and your ear is drawn to those because transients are something that have always been important for humans to hear for various reasons, mainly things that wanted to eat you. So here's what I did. This is a new plugin from the guys over at Oak Sound. It's called Spiff. They dropped by the other day and we just had a blast. Now this, you're familiar with Soothe. If you're not familiar with Soothe, go buy it. I use it on a lot of stuff. It's really, really, really good. But what this is a new take on transients. Now each one of these dots can be put wherever you want. For example, if you click on this, here's the frequency that dot's working with, and here's all the things you need to know. Now I wanted to take the guitar part and keep those transients, but just make them musical, you know, rather than taking over the mix. Like there's some sounds like claves, or some cymbal sounds, those that have a real sharp spike at the beginning of the sound. They can take over a mix. So here's without it again. With it. You can imagine how well that's going to fit. Now I'm not doing a tutorial today. I just want to show you something that you need to get. It's fairly straightforward. Now the amount that we're taking down is controlled by this knob. And what makes this, among many things, what makes this unique is that you can select different frequencies to work on. Usually the frequencies tend to be above 1K, 2K, but this is a guitar part. And also you can boost with it. Check this out. Click this and you can take these same frequencies and boost them. You can't do both at the same time, but I'm not sure why you'd need to, but anyway. One last thing, I put a classic DBX 160 on it. This is one of my favorite guitar plugin. So this is with that. Now, watch this. Sometimes you want your processing can do different things depending on placement of the plugin. I'm going to show you the difference. To me, this is where I liked it best, but check it out here. I might be wrong. That sounds pretty good too. In the mix, I'd pick this one. In the mix, I would pick this one. So check out this. Check out this plugin. I think it's going to be used a lot in my arsenal of tools to get things to work together, make everybody in the mix happy. Like sometimes is the way I think about it. Check it out. We'll see you next time.
Our guest is a super hot songwriter. In his portfolio are Skrillex, J Balvin, Justin Bieber, Chris Brown, and a whole bunch more. He recently visited us, and we hope you enjoy our conversation with the one, the only, Pooh Bear. What's up, man?
What's up?
Good to see you.
Thanks for
Finally.
having me. Yes.
Yeah. So every songwriter has a signature. Some claim, some know what they are, some don't. Is there a Pooh Bear signature, and do you know what it is?
I would think my signature, first off would be originality and it not sounding like my style of writing, not being compared to anybody else, and it just having its own distinct sound. And then on top of that, I feel like my melodies and my concepts, I feel like are designed to attack your emotions and move your soul. And I feel like that would definitely be my style, as opposed to just having a bunch of songs written, but actually songs that when you hear them, you feel something from them and they move your emotions, and hopefully you can connect with them. And I feel like that definitely is a style. Just learning over the years, like seeing all the writers and just be writers that just write songs, and then there's people who make songs that when you hear them you can't live without them. So I feel like that's kind of my style, is moving your emotions melodically and conceptually.
And melody and lyric for you,
yes, sir,
both combined to get that impact, to get that touch?
Yeah, because I feel like, it was a lot different in the 90s. In the mid-90s, it was a bunch of great singing and the songs were okay. So they were still like, sneaking subpar records by great vocalists singing them. And now it's gotten to a place where it's a lot more, people are, it's a microscope now where it's like, wow, that lyric, what does that mean? And so definitely lyrically and melodically, I feel like it's important to, have an original concept, and to have melodies that, once you hear them, they wrap themselves around your chromosomes and, you can't live without them.
But don't you have to have life experiences that sharpen your emotions in order to convey emotion through a song?
Definitely. I feel like
it's hard to sing the blues when you got 100 million in the bank.
Yeah, I'm just so sensitive. I care about what people think. Super insecure, and I think because of my sensitivity, it just allows me to, be able to pull. I've been through a whole lot in my life, and from being homeless to every aspect that you can go through. And so I'm allowed to pull from that stuff and understand that, the realest music is what connects with people the most. Like real life experiences is what, when you turn it into a song, I've just learned over the years, my success is like, I'll do records, and there's like the one record that came from a real place for me is the one that would just connect with the audience. So definitely.
Can you tell when you've written it? Like, is there an emotional response you have once you've written that thing that will touch other people?
There is. Yeah, I'm definitely like my worst critic and my tough. I'm really hard on myself, and I have a formula to where first off, it's the concept. It's just so many songs of I love you, I need you, the most cliche concepts. So I start off with an original concept, and those concepts definitely come from conversations. They come from trips, billboards, movies, everything. And, you know, writing, you know, when I have that concept, that's the first part of my formula. And then just having, you know, melodically, making it simple and effective to where it's digestible, and making sure that it's a complete thought and a complete idea, and not just like these fragmented ideas and a bunch of cool words that rhyme, but actually that support the main idea of my concept. And just as equally as important as the concept being original, but melodically, you know, having melodies that, you know, resonate with people, and frequencies that really hit you and move your emotions to where, you know, I feel like it should be like a drug. You know, I feel like it should be, once you hear it, it should be something that you want to wake up and you want to hear it. You get in the car, you want to hear it. Before you have lunch, you want to hear it. Like, so all of those things are really important. And I feel like the song my formula is original concept, melody, simple and effective, digestible song. And those things, once I have those things, then I will feel inside that I've done, you know, like at least I can't say that I know that it's a hit, because you just never know. But at least I feel like, you know, I did my formula, and I feel happy with, like, I didn't let myself down as far as my formula goes.
What percentage of co-writing do you give your therapist?
I know, right? You know, it's crazy. I just recently met with a therapist for the first time in my life, and it made me realize that, you know, and out of the top, it's not a bad thing. And I feel like our culture,
it's not a bad thing.
We need therapy. Like, I think it should be therapists in the hood.
Listen, I give Charlemagne the God much props, because he's come full circle, written a book about it, talked about it was happening when he was broke and homeless. It was happening as he's become super successful. Many more athletes are talking about, you know, because in the black community,
it's taboo. I mean, and you know, you're like, what? We could just talk about it ourselves, or like weakness, we just we really tuck it inside.
And then die early.
And when you get older, it all starts coming out, and you like have these issues, and it's really it's really childhood issues that are so suppressed, and they come out. So but for the first time, it's interesting you brought that up. I talked to a therapist, and I was like, I'm doing this every 2 weeks, you know?
Well, the beauty of what you're doing, what makes it really interesting, because it is so personal to you, is that you collaborate well.
Yeah, for sure.
And so in collaborating, does that chemistry need to be there so that you can do your best? Or you now at a point, because now you've done it for a while, that you can just get in the room and sort of figure out how it goes?
It's crazy you say that too, because every artist I work with, they always say the same thing, which is, I don't usually click with the songwriter. We usually, you know, most times don't see eye to eye. And for me, it's like we have every artist I work with, it's like, yo, we just have chemistry. So I started realizing and thinking that maybe I don't think it's a coincidence. Like, I think that, like, maybe it's my personality that allows me to just connect with whoever I'm in the room with. And it doesn't really matter who it is. But for a while, I thought it was like, oh, maybe that person, it's just your birthday. Like, when were you born? You know what I'm saying? We might just be compatible humans. And then I realized that every artist I work with can't, you know, be a Virgo, or can't be a sign that I'm compatible with. So it's something different. And I think I believe in God. You know, I believe in being, my mom prays crazy, and I believe that there's something to it. You know, something called being anointed, and I never really understood it until later on in life. But I could work with any artist, and I have the same chemistry with them. And I think it has a lot to do with, of course, you know, the Most High, but at the same time, my sensitivity. Me being so sensitive, just like Sonny, Skrillex, he's so sensitive, and being able to be considerate of other people's feelings. And
we'll talk about chemistry, you and he.
Oh man,
talk about that a bit.
Yeah, just our chemistry. Me and Sonny, you know, the first thing we did together was "Where Are You Now," and which, you know, the song was written. I wrote the song, and it was sent to Sonny, and he made it into what it is now. And from there, you know, I remember seeing him in Excess in Vegas, and saying like, one day I'm gonna work with that guy. Like saying like, I'm gonna work with Sonny one day. And then finally being at the record plant and working on Purpose and him coming in, and we clicked on a different level. And I think it had a lot to do with him being super sensitive. And so everything we do together is like, how do you feel? It's like, we're constantly trying not to piss each other off. We're constantly, and it just works so harmonious. It just like this greatness comes from it. Cause it's like, we're both so sensitive and considerate in our feelings. So, I mean, we really hit it off to where when we have, 60 songs together, so.
Did you just perform with him? I'm sorry.
I did, in Ultra. He asked me to come out, which was amazing. He didn't have to do that. He's a legend, you know what I'm saying? But he brought me out, he brought Ty Dolla out, and it was an amazing experience just to perform in front of that many people. And our record that we did together, which we never promoted it, we never pushed it, but it went gold, without anything. Thank you. And I performed that, and it was just crazy. And everybody sang along. It was pretty cool. So.
On Where Are You Now, we were talking earlier about how that particular song and production and performance kind of changed things in the music industry. We were speculating that it might have been the tropical elements that were there.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
I feel like, Where Are You Now, musically, sonically, I had never heard anything like it before. Just him, Sonny taking the vocal and pitching it up to where it's like, wait a minute, is that a dolphin? Or what is that? You know what I mean? Just that alone was like, okay, that's a whole new sonic that we've never dealt with, a whole new frequency that we hadn't felt.
What's wrong with dolphins, man?
Right, so for a while, I thought it was a dolphin. I didn't even realize it was Justin Bieber's voice pitched up, know? And then even, the bass, the break, the drop of it, that whole drop, from that drop, after that song became a radio hit, you just noticed that all of the songs that came after it were literally like carbon copies of Where Are You Now, musically, even melodically, but musically being that they would have a vocal chop and a drop. Yeah. And it was accepted only because Where Are You Now was kind of paved the way for, this new style of song to work on the radio format. It had never worked before. So
I was one of the people that copied it, by the way.
Oh man, I think it's amazing, to be a part of something that actually, was that copied. And we were never offended by it. It was just always like flattering.
It was honoring you.
It was honoring, yeah. Like, wow.
Pooh, when this is just for me, I want to know. When you deliver a song to like an artist, do you deliver it with your vocal and a keyboard part, or your vocal finished, or do you try to show the artist a demo that's completely finished and somewhat mixed, or is it a different process each time?
Well, look, my process of actually, I don't shop songs anymore. That didn't work out for me at a young age, because you think you're writing something for somebody, and once they're not looking for what they already did, they're looking for probably what you're doing for yourself for fun. So that process turned into me, thank God, that Justin Bieber was able to, put my name out there. I had written hits before Justin, but he was the first artist to acknowledge me, that I existed, and, so that allowed me to now create a song with chords and a song. And my theory is if I can move you emotionally with a song and chords, then we can dress it up. If you want to be reggaeton, we could put reggaeton. You want to be tropical.
So you do a simpler demo.
Yeah, but it's still like, vocally, it's still what it's supposed to sound like. Okay. So it's not like I'm gonna barely sing this. Like I sing it like this is the way, note for note.
It has a direction on it.
Yeah, and it's not. And then of course, if whatever artist decides that we're gonna record it, of course we insert them and what they would want to do. But for the most part, from every note to ad libs to everything, it's like strategic and it's like over chords. So if I can move you and I can make you feel something and you hold on to my chorus with that, then it could be dressed up anyway. And
one of the things I like about your skill set is you love minor chords, but yet you do this thing with minor and major chords in the same song.
Yes.
A lot. That's just it really enhances the emotion that you put in it.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I just always been fascinated with minor major. Like, I mean, going back to Usher, Caught Up, you know, like Peaches and Cream.
Oh man, you went back. You went back.
Even better.
Yeah.
So like even then, I was always like back then it was more obvious.
You were 12 back then.
I was younger.
Major, minor.
I was younger. I went to Tri-Cities. I went to a performing arts school.
Oh,
And then we were forced to music theory. We were forced music history. We were taking college courses in high school that were mandatory to stay in the performing arts school.
Oh, okay.
So it was like stuff that I didn't care about then, but it kind of came out a little bit later on.
So education is important.
It's important. And, you know, I always like to say this too. I didn't graduate high school. I went to the last day. I didn't skip school. I was a good kid. They just, you know, they dropped the ball. They didn't give me 3 classes in the 9th grade that I was supposed to have. Waited till I got to the 12th grade to tell me, oh, you can't graduate because you have these 3 classes that we forgot to give you, assign you. So you have to go to summer school. And I was like, Mom, I was going to school for my mom. I was like, don't you feel like I graduated? She was like, yes.
You said good enough.
That was it, you know, and I was on college prep, you know, I was missing 1 credit, which was 3 classes that equal 1 credit at that time. And I ended up going on tour with Puff Daddy and the family in 112 and writing Peaches and Cream and writing songs that ended up changing the direction of my life. So if I would have went to summer school, I probably wouldn't have had a chance to write a lot of those songs.
Is it true that when Puffy met you, he thought you were the security guard?
Yeah, he told me he thought I was security for a while. This is like this stereotypical the big black guy. You know, the big quiet black guys. I was always in the background, and you know, they didn't know. Puffy didn't know that they had me around.
You should ask him for a check, you know?
Yeah. But it happened once. He put me with a group called Dream. Well, actually, he didn't put me with them. I worked with the girls named Dream, the girls group. Yeah. And then he heard these songs and he was like, who's doing this?
The security guard.
It's Pooh Bear. And he was like, put me on FaceTime. He was like, you've arrived. And I'm like, this was like 2002. I wrote my first hit record in 1996, 97. So he's telling 4 artists that was signed to him. And he's like, you've arrived. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I've arrived, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't FaceTime. FaceTime didn't exist. It was a phone call. But I remember saying, I've been writing with 112 for years. He was like, wait a minute, you the guy with the ponytail. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I thought you was their security. I'm like, no, I was just the quiet, bigger. I was huge back then. I was like 340.
No joke.
Yeah, I was big. It was like 3 of me, you know, and I mean, from there, you know, Puff, you know, started looking at me in a whole nother light because he thought I was security, but it was cool, man. I feel like a lot of that had a lot to do with my longevity too. Like people not knowing who I was allowed for people to not get tired of me. And so many writers and producers that I see come up, you know, that I noticed with their taglines in the front of the song and in the videos. And then I just noticed those people and I would see them do this and right back down.
Absolutely.
And then I'm just like underground, like writing records, just continuing. And to the point where Justin said my name, I was so freaked out because I was like, he was on Ryan Seacrest. And I was like, so who'd you do this project? He was like, Pooh Bear. Pooh Bear did my whole album. And I'm hitting, I was like, bro, you don't have to. I was so used to not getting that credit and just getting publishing that it was uncomfortable.
Which was the right thing to get.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable for me for Justin to start speaking. Every interview he did was Pooh Bear, Pooh Bear. I'm like, bro, I just want to be able to take care of my family and I appreciate you, but you don't have to, like, the world needs to feel like all of this came from you. He's like, no. He said, the world has to know that we did this together and they need to know that you exist, you know?
Along the path, right? Because you evolve from whatever point you start to wherever you are now. Everybody does. Some evolve, some devolve. You know what I'm saying? But as you've evolved, where did the producer, music maker part of you come in? And how would you say your writing has evolved?
I would say for many years, I was literally just into the top line and the lyric and melody. And, you know, it wasn't until maybe 2010 2013 when I started, you know, really being more hands-on. And I'm not a great musician at all. I grew up playing trumpet. You know, that was my instrument, you know. But I understand music chords. I understand it. So I was able to sit there with a great pianist or a great guitarist and like, play this chord or play that chord. Oh, wait a minute. No, let's play that backwards. And that's when I started. And, you know, working with Scott Storch also, which was like 06, you know, 05, 04, 05, 06, he had then told me, you're not just writing, you're producing, you know? The song wouldn't be the same if you didn't come in here and produce the vocals, if you didn't write. So he really was the first person to like put me on to like, and give me production credit and producer points and say, no, like this record wouldn't be the same if you didn't do X, Y, and Z. Therefore, you are a producer. You're more than just a songwriter.
So if I get a demo, I'm superstar artist, and it comes from you. Yeah. You've produced it.
I've usually, production-wise, musically-wise, I'm co-producing just because I'm just not great with playing chord. I'm not great at it, but I know what they're supposed to be.
Got you. So I
collab on the production musical side.
Gotcha.
Vocal production is by myself, and everything is me by myself, but I'm constantly, I have producers that I signed. And
how would you say your writing's evolved?
My writing's evolved just because the first 2 decades of my, you know, which is, I'm only 22 years in as a songwriter, but I want to say 2 decades. The first 10 to 15 years, I didn't know what I was doing. And I could say that, you know, my first hit, I didn't know what I did to, you know, I just felt like it was a blessing to be a part of it, but I didn't have a formula. I didn't know what I was doing to say, oh, I got it. Like I recently just like a light bulb just came on in my brain a few years ago, like maybe like when I did Chris Brown, Transform You, you know, or She Ain't You, like it started to really click like, oh, like I've been writing songs, but it was always like a hit or miss, and I'm very great with accepting the fact that everything I write is not going to be great. You know, I was like, you know what, I'm a human. You know, but just being able to narrow it down to where it's like, oh, if I do this, if I keep this like this, I make sure that's there. That whole formula just really got together, really solid and confident a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, out of my 22 years.
Well, the thing that you know, when you do research on you or know you, like we're lucky enough to do, the range of projects that you work on is really wide.
Yeah.
R&B, hip hop, reggaeton, EDM, reggae, just
country.
like, I mean, like you're working with Zach Brown now, right?
Yeah.
How'd that come about?
That came about.
They reached out and you jumped on a plane to Nashville.
Yeah, you know what? It was weird. It was Scooter Braun, who manages Zach Brown. You know, I guess he was talking to Zach about, you know, possibly having a Bieber feature, and then Zach was like, well, how do we do it? He was like, well, we had to get Pooh Bear involved. And he was like, wait, what is Pooh? He's like, why do that name sounds familiar? Where do I know that name from? He's like, well, he did this song and that song. And Zach, you know, was like, those are my favorite songs, you know, of like my life. And he said, you know, it's not something that he told everybody, but he's like, these are songs that I listen to with like Outkast and all this stuff on his personal playlist.
Love it.
And it was like a lot of them were my songs. So once he found that out, he was like, oh, I want Pooh Bear. I want to do more than just that. I want Pooh Bear to collab with me on my whole project. Nice. So I happened to be in Atlanta. They were in Atlanta, coincidentally. And I remember Scooter was like, hey, Zach wants you to come get on the jet with us and go to Boston. He's doing, performing at the stadium in Boston, which they sold it out more than anybody else in the history.
Wow.
And the 9th consecutive time, and got on a jet with them. And from there, we started building, and we just built a relationship. And then, you know, literally wrote something while we were in Boston on his tour bus. And from there, you know, we flew to Sweden and worked on, you know, and then just built a relationship. And I'm proud. He calls me his spirit animal. He was like, Pooh Bear, like, you're my spirit animal, you know? So it's like...
That's amazing.
And right? I've never had the opportunity to work with, you know, a country artist. And that's like the one thing that's not on my resume. And I was like, I believe in putting stuff into the universe, and so it worked out naturally and organically, where it was like an actual artist that wanted to work with me after he found out what I had done.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Can you give us the Reader's Digest version of, starting to say at age 11, some of the troubles and hardships you had to overcome? I literally teared up when I was reading about that. That's and you made it through, man. Yeah,
that's crazy. I still can't even believe it. But it really started when they got a divorce. When my dad left, I was 8 years old. He left, and then literally a week later, a tornado hit New Haven, Connecticut, which I didn't know until recently that New Haven is the poorest city in America. I didn't know that, but
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the poorest city and the richest city are both in Connecticut, New Haven. So we were in an apartment, in New Haven, and my dad had just literally left for a week. There's no cell phones back then, so I didn't hear from him for years and years and years. Right after he left, tornado hit, left us homeless, for close to a year. And then finally, we slept everywhere we could. And then finally the church took up an offering. And I remember they gave my mom $4,000. And with that money, we were able to move to Atlanta, Georgia, when I turned 9, closer to 10. And that's when everything in Atlanta was Dallas, ABC, Dallas, Austin, all this new, it was the new Mecca of the South, Atlanta. So just in time for me, to see ABC and these other kids crisscross, and me being young and saying, wow, if they can do that, I can do that, because I'm a kid. And, ended up putting together kids groups in my neighborhood. We were still struggling, we were still poor. We were putting together little dance groups, and somebody's parents saw it, and they took us to Keith Sweat's manager, and then Keith Sweat's manager started managing us, and then I signed my first record deal. I turned 12, and that's when I kind of got ripped off. They gave us an advance in the form of a jean suit.
Not just a jean suit, but you said you looked like a Sprite.
Oh, it was a Sprite commercial, because I had the yellow, the gold yellow jean suit, and my friend, the name of the group was Young Harmony, and his name was Young, and my name was Harmony. And he had on the green suit. So we had the green suit with the gold shirt. I had on the gold suit with the green shirt, and we looked like a Sprite commercial. And that was our advance. And our manager took our money from our advance.
That is a shame.
Yeah, but we didn't know. I was poor. Sure. We didn't even. That's the thing, is me take from somebody who doesn't have anything. Unfortunately, they don't know, and they don't care. So that was and at that time I had written a song with my cousin, and
Peaches and Cream?
That was too young. I was 12 then. This was the first time a song got stolen from me. And Michael Bivins had just formed his label, and he put out this album called Biv 10. And that was 1992. And I wrote a song because a group called Crisscross came out.
Right.
They were dissing ABC.
Right.
And at that time, literally right before I signed my record deal, Red from ABC was my manager. And he was a year older than me. So I think I was 11, he was 12 or 13.
That couldn't have ended right.
I know, and I was thinking he's successful, he knows the ropes, he knows the way. Right. That's my manager, you know what I'm saying? Right. And so when I heard Crisscross dissing them on Jump, I took it personally, because I'm that's my manager. So I wrote a song dissing Crisscross. I rapped it to Red, gave it to him. They disappear for 7 months, ABC. Next thing I know, my friend in middle school, because I remember I was in the 7th grade, and he comes to school and he has his headphones. He was like, yo, remember that rap you wrote? It's on this album. And I was I got excited, because I'm I didn't think that. I didn't get mad. I was no way. And I wasn't no way in a bad. I was no. And I listened to it, and this is my song word for word, And that was my first time that somebody actually stole a song. Then you look on the credit on the back of the album, and Red didn't even get credit publishing. His manager, Kevin Wells, Michael Bivins, they all got the credit for the song. So he stole it, Red stole it from me, and then he got credit got stole from him, which he didn't write it anyway, but.
And how did Peaches and Cream? You were 12
Peaches and
when
Cream,
that came out.
Anywhere, we could do it anywhere. I was 16.
Oh, okay.
I was 15. And it came out when I was 16. Peaches and Cream didn't happen till I turned 19.
Oh, okay.
And I was hungry.
You were like close to washed up then.
I was hungry.
Pretty old.
Yeah.
Tell us about your projects, because you managed to get some amazing people that you worked with. Tell us about it.
So Pooh Bear Presents Birthday Music was a project really that came about, I want to say like a year and a half ago. And I just had the idea because I was going through music and I'm like, wow, I have all these cool songs with my friends and these artists. And they're just, I call it the music abyss. When you make records and then nobody ever hears them. So I'm like, they're just in the music abyss right now. And I hit Scooter. I was like, hey, do you think, would you help me, organize, an album with a bunch of, artists that really the songs are done already. It's just a matter of getting the clearances from the labels. He was like, I think that's a brilliant idea, and as me just being a curator, and I sang on a couple of the songs, but more so just to be a vehicle to put out music, while these artists are in between their albums.
So like a Bob Dylan.
Just to have something. Yeah, well, I ended up, that's Bear and a Banjo. That's like my Americana stuff, which is, I ended up doing that album with a guy named T-Bone Burnett.
A guy named T-Bone Burnett.
Legend. And I'm learning because I didn't know when I met him. And everybody's like, yo, you're working with him? I'm like, we're doing our album together. And he brought Bob Dylan into the picture, and Bob Dylan found out and researched me, and literally I'm the second person that he's ever did a co-write with.
That's amazing.
In his whole career.
That is amazing.
And I'm like, he's a living legend, biggest songwriter of all time, and that came about through T-Bone Burnett. And T-Bone was like, look, I don't know what's going on, but Bob researched you, his attorney researched you, and they want to work. He wants to do the collab. So we ended up doing that record, which literally now turned into a podcast for iHeart, Bear and a Banjo, with Dennis Quaid as the narrator.
Is that right?
Yeah, so that came from, and that was like that was us just having fun.
Were you physically work? Did you?
No, that's the thing. Like, he sent over.
He usually doesn't.
No, he sent over his lyrics, and I just put melodies, and then I added more lyrics to it. But that was our form of collabing, and I was just honored to.
Absolutely.
I didn't believe it. I'm like, so this is a Bob Dylan song, and he like put me on the phone with his attorney, and they're like, yo, we're really excited to do this. He's only did this with one other person, and it went number one in the country world.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Go back to a technical thing.
Okay.
Do you ever get into writer's block? And then if you do,
No.
You don't?
I don't believe in that.
Okay.
I
James Fauntleroy's like that too.
Yeah, there's just no such thing. That's just insecurities. And for me, it's just like, I know everything I write is not going to be great. So as long as you accept that fact, then you could then the block part is out of it.
Right, exactly.
The block comes from when you have an idea and you just don't feel like it's good enough.
Right.
So you keep it inside. And my thing is like, you never know what that idea could be, so it's like, let's create, keep my formula. Yeah, and it might not be, my thing is like, the songs that I thought would be big records weren't. The ones that I had that I didn't think ended up being number one record. So it's like, nobody can say that they really know when they hear a song, like, that's going to be a hit.
Right.
They can make a guess and maybe be right, but,
Well, we usually know when Batter's Box is going to be a hit.
Right.
And
nice.
Today, I think you're going to do...
Don't toy with my emotions, sir. Don't
No,
toy
he's the
with
emotional
my
guy. I didn't realize you had the same...
I'm the sensitive one.
Sensitive one.
Yeah.
So,
I've
so
never won one of these.
This will be a sensitive Batter's Box then. So bunt instead of hitting home runs.
Nice.
All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Fire away.
Harmonies.
Name of myself in a young group.
That's what he said.
That's funny. That was my name as an artist when I was 12. No, harmonies, don't do them.
Song key.
C major.
Celine Dion.
The one artist that I've never worked with that I want to work with.
Tempo. BPM.
130. Double time though. Yeah.
Okay. Chord structure, chords.
2 to 3 chords max.
Wow.
Yeah, always.
Genre.
Every genre.
Male, female singers, your choice.
I have to say both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Piano.
I want to say what the piano that I have at my house. Steinway.
Oh, wow.
Bam.
Background vocals.
Don't do them.
Your most prized musical possession.
SM7.
Damn, he's good, Herb. Mm-hmm. I'm sensitive, but he's better. He's better. And I know when I'm beat.
We honor you. We celebrate you.
Thank you.
And I think your sensitivity is a strength and a sign to our audience that sometimes being vulnerable and being able to expose and all that kind of stuff is a good thing.
Yeah, it can work in your favor. Yeah.
There's prizes in there.
Yes, sir.